Hey everybody, this is Gus from Askewed Reviews, and I'm doing a new episode of Creature Madness. Now, if you don't know what that is, let me give you a quick explanation. First of all, this is a creation by my buddy Matthew over at Horror Madness, where he's essentially created a movie club where all of us involved watch the same movie, and it's always a creature feature, and then each of us does our own review about that film. Now, aside from myself and Matthew, the other people in this club are Bambi, Ryan, Jen, Amariah, and Ashley. If for some reason you are not following all of these people, definitely go and do so. I love all of their content. And now for the movie that we were all supposed to watch. This one was actually a suggestion by Matthew. It was the 2011 film Attack the Block, directed and written by Joe Cornish. So Attack the Block is a movie that's been on my watch list for a really long time, and I don't know why I just never sat down and just watched it. But I finally did. This was actually a very fun sci-fi horror comedy. Here's the concept for the movie. We have a group of essentially like street thugs that are just going about their regular business, mugging people, doing things that are a bit nefarious, but they end up running into this weird small creature that landed almost like a comet into a vehicle next to them. It scratched one of the members of this group and then ran off. So, of course, being a bunch of teenage boys, they decide, well, we have to get revenge. So they go chasing after this creature and they take it out. So at first the boys treat this like a big celebration. The problem is that this small one is not a great representation of the rest of these aliens which do start descending into their town. These other versions of the aliens are big, furry, gorilla like creatures that will chase you down and eat you. The rest of the movie now becomes a fight for survival, as these gangbangers, along with a woman that they mugged earlier in the evening, are the people that end up having to try and save the town and their building from these aliens. So, this movie was so much fun to watch. It's got a lot of great action sequences, some very funny moments, and one of the biggest surprises is the amount of people I recognized that I didn't realize were in this film. So, some of the familiar faces for me in this film were John Boyega, Jodie Whittaker, Nick Frost, and Franz Drameh. There may be others that I just didn't realize that I know them from something else, but those are at least the four that right off the bat I knew who they were. So if you've never seen this one before, I absolutely recommend going and doing so. It's currently streaming for free on Paramount Plus, or at least that's where I saw it. Now, if you have seen this before, or if you watch that and then come back to my video, please let me know what you thought in the comments about this movie. So at least for me on my scale, I'm going to give this movie a 4 out of 5. Another thing I want to state is if they ever end up doing an actual sequel to this movie, I think a great one would be a movie just called Probs and Mayhem. That's about the two kids in this film, but now they're grown up and now they're having to deal with their own small alien invasion. So here's my part of Creature Madness, where I do a tale of the tape as I describe the creatures in the creature feature that we watched. So the aliens in this film are very similar to gorillas. Their movements, kind of the way they look, the fur on them. But the two things that make them very different are number one, the fur, which is almost a Vanta black color. You know, that black where you can almost see nothing through it and it looks so dark that you can't even see the outline of the creature. And that was a really cool thing. Secondly, are their teeth. The teeth are bioluminescent, or at least they are at times, which is very scary in the dark. Now, they don't ever really go over the benefits or the natural progression as to why these creatures are like this, but they're cool looking. I think that's all that really matters. Now, the creatures do seem to have the ability of going down just as quickly as a regular animal would, and I would say their strength, while being a bit superior, is on par with like a gorilla. Oh, one more thing about them. The female of the species appears to be much smaller and hairless, while the male is, of course, big, bulky, and covered in hair. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Creature Madness. And of course, if you want to check out what everyone else involved in the club did with their reviews for this film, just look up the hashtag Creature Madness.